Jeremy Clarkson doesn't hold back when criticizing the Labour Party's housing plans, and his latest critiques of Angela Rayner are no exception. His frustration boils down to one glaring issue: Labour's proposal to build 1.5 million new homes doesn't seem to make sense. It's not just the numbers Clarkson is questioning, it's the entire approach. According to him, Labour fails to grasp the severity of the housing crisis, and their current strategy is only making matters worse. Clarkson's anger is especially aimed at the claim that 5 out of every 7 of these new homes will be allocated to immigrants. Labour, of course, denies this figure, calling it inaccurate. However, here's the twist: these numbers reportedly come directly from Labour's own housing plan. So why the denial? Clarkson argues that instead of taking responsibility and engaging with the facts, Labour seems more interested in deflecting and distracting. When a prominent figure like Rayner refuses to face the truth, it only leaves the public wondering who to trust regarding the UK's housing crisis. Things escalated during a recent interview that turned into a complete disaster for Rayner. The focus: housing, immigration, and Labour's handling of both. When asked about the growing number of immigrants being housed in properties originally intended for the homeless, her response was full of deflection and lacked any engagement with the core issue. Despite these homes being meant for society's most vulnerable, Rayner avoided addressing the hard facts that are directly tied to Labour's own housing plan. But it doesn't stop there. Under Labour's watch, the UK has seen an influx of 200 new immigrants, further straining an already stretched housing system. Rayner's failure to address this pressing issue made her appear less like a leader and more like someone either out of touch with the gravity of the situation or unwilling to act. When she dismissed these concerns as wrong, without providing solid evidence or offering solutions, public frustration only grew. Critics like Clarkson see this as yet another sign of Labour's failure to effectively manage the housing crisis. The situation took a bizarre turn when, during a live TV appearance, Rayner insisted that the UK already has enough housing to meet demand. Yet, in the same breath, she pushed for 1.5 million new homes to be built. This contradiction raised an obvious question: if the current housing stock is sufficient, why the need for more? Struggling to provide a coherent answer, Rayner offered a muddled explanation that deepened public confusion. The public was left asking, why build more homes if there are already enough? This glaring contradiction undermines Labour's credibility on the housing issue. When a politician cannot clearly explain their own plan, it raises serious questions about their ability to tackle a crisis of this scale. Clarkson, along with many others, points out that Labour's inability to communicate a coherent housing strategy makes them appear ineffective, wasting time and energy instead of focusing on real, practical solutions. With homelessness on the rise, why prioritize building new homes when so many existing properties remain vacant, unused, or in poor condition? Shouldn't the focus be on improving what already exists? Adding to the frustration is Keir Starmer's unwavering loyalty to Rayner, despite her disastrous performance in the interview. Even as public dissatisfaction with Labour grows, Starmer continues to stand by his deputy leader, insisting that she's handling things just fine. On the surface, this loyalty might seem admirable, but in today's political climate, it feels increasingly out of touch. Public opinion is shifting, with Labour's approval ratings plummeting. A viral petition calling for the party to step down has gained significant traction, highlighting how unhappy people are with the current leadership. Yet Starmer remains steadfast, defending Rayner even as her mistakes accumulate. This blind loyalty could ultimately backfire on the party, especially as voters grow more disillusioned with Labour's response to the housing crisis. Clarkson argues that this is precisely Labour's problem. When you're in power, you can't afford to ignore the public's concerns or continue defending a failing strategy. Labour's refusal to confront the housing crisis head-on, coupled with their persistent defence of Rayner's leadership, could be the party's undoing. The more Starmer defends her, the more disconnected he appears from the realities facing the country. It's clear that Labour's current approach isn't working, and the more they dig in their heels, the more the public will push back. The growing divide between Labour and the public is becoming impossible to ignore,